Looks like we're live. I'm just waiting for the painter to interrupt me as he has all week. And I just saw him drive up. I don't know what, maybe he's just going to go to my laundry room. Hi, Kat. I hope. I wish he would get done because I'm really sick of having him around. Anyhow, I actually have a list of things to go over today. It was a long week. It was really hot here, and hi, Kat. Great, love a new follower. So it was literally too hot to knit, except what I did was I just abandoned my woolly project that I was working on and made something else, which was also woolly, but less sticky, smoother wool, so it wasn't so bad. And I was really excited to knit this up. Get rid of, I have such a hard time. There we go. Oops. It's just a cowl, but I dyed both yarns with my black beans that I made like 10 days ago. I was very excited to knit it up. So I didn't have very much of the dark, but I had a lot more of the light, and I was using a stitch pattern that I'm using for my pullover, so it was the same thing. I have kind of blocked this and haven't really even tried it on. It smells a lot like vinegar because I wanted to make sure it didn't smell like black beans. And I think it probably needs a pin or something to make it more interesting. But I love those kind of subtle neutral colors. And it gave me intense joy the day that I did it. And so I was ordering some silk ribbon for another project. So I ordered this from Britex, and I'm going to use it to make a pin. And if you are new to me, Kat, you just reach up here and I make these pins from buttons and yarn, and like this one goes with a particular project. So I collect antique buttons, and these are they're just ball buttons, and they're from Italy. Can't get them anymore. Never get me off on my jewelry, and so here's another one, again made to go with a particular project. And this one I haven't put something on it to hang it, but I almost always make one of these as I finish up a project. Here's a really simple one that was just using buttons and a little bit of yarn. So that's what I do, is I make something that I wear a pin every day. So I make something to pin onto the piece. And this one I thought I'll do one of my wrapping with ribbon, and then probably just doing some embroidery stitches. Hi, Shay. Oh, you're a sewer. God, you've got the best things. You remind me of when I was younger and made all my clothes. So that's the cowl that I knit when it was too hot. And then I had a little bit of leftover yarn, so I made a fingerless mitt, which I've obviously not worked the ends in yet. So that used up the balance of the yarn. And I have fairly big hands. It's barely big enough, but I thought it was a cute little thing. So the reason I haven't done anything with this one, Shay does really great clothes. This one's been blocked, and obviously I did the colors differently, and this one hasn't been blocked. And so first we wet block things. So as a sewer, Shay, you probably pre-wash your fabric. So after we knit, we wash things. And then what I like to do is I lay things out on a flat surface, and with my steam iron, I steam everything, and they just look so much more polished. So you can see kind of the difference. I always say that this looks kind of crunchier, more granola, and this looks polished. And this is literally just a knit purl combination. Very easy. So that's over in my finishing pile. And let's see, so I happen to vintage buttons, and I'm going to move around here a little bit. I have this piece, which I showed last week. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to flip my camera. There we go. Okay, so there's my iron from when I was steaming it. So this is just a Formica counter, and I just would put this down. And this is 2 layers, so I actually first steamed inside, and then not paying attention to the camera here, and then I just shoot steam in until you can see water sitting here, and then I let it dry. And that gives it that kind of nice polished look. So here we are. This is a shrug, and I need to finish sewing it together. From the Antique Button Collection, I have these buttons, and so then I got ebony silk ribbon, and I'm going to make bows to sit behind those buttons. Not sure how I'm going to attach all that yet. I love kind of the finishing process, which can be, and I was practicing tying bows with this and taking something apart with my jewelry pliers. But this part of my desk has not been clear for a long time, so I'm really happy to be able to use it. So now I'm going to take you over to my dress form. So here she is, and she's wearing the pullover I've been knitting. I've actually been working on the sleeves, and I decided I blocked it yesterday. So it's been wet blocked, but not steam block yet. And I didn't have enough of the yarn, so I had to get I had 3 different colors, and I had to kind of get creative. And so I normally don't put a lot of ease in my clothes. I don't really like a lot of it. And so that this is, the bottom. And I made it like a trapeze style. And then I put the color work up at the top. I'm not good at color work, so it was a pain in my ass. And you can kind of see here on the side. So I ran some yarn up here so you can see the side seam. And I made it shorter in the front because I'm really short-waisted, and I tend to tuck things into the front of my pants. So that way I won't have as much bulk. And then here's the back. And again, I put the yoke up here. I don't know whether she's sitting at an angle or I kind of pulled this. But so I like the way, it has extra at the bottom. And I love this stitch. It's really easy to do. This is the same one that's in the cowl. And, but so up here, I just did a few rows in a contrasting yarn, and that will get joined with the 3 needle join. So because I put more, I think I did a 42-inch bust. And so, Bob, we're happy to have you if you're interested in knitting, which is a lot more. My bust is like 37, so it's more than I usually put in. And I kind of feel like it's baggy. here at the armholes. So here you can see my side seam. What I'll do is with this bit that I've pinched out is I'll kind of ease that into the armhole. So I'm going to make the armhole on the sleeve a little smaller and then ease that in there. I don't mind having the extra under my arm, um, but it feels like if I make the sleeve that big, it's going to be really sloppy on me, and I don't like sloppy. And you can kind of see this extra, which if I was sewing, I would pinch out in a dart. So I'm just going to ease that in and then use my steam iron to kind of pull it all together. Um, but I like the shape of it. I did that with short rows. And you can see on this side where I actually used a color of yarn that you can see my side seam. And that's just a little trick I can tell you about if you're interested. These are just markers to tell me something. So the reason I was exploring this, do I have anything else? No. I'm going to turn it again so you can see my lovely face. The reason I wanted to put it on the dress form, and I could have put it on my body, but I'm too lazy. And I will put it on my body before I sew it all together. So you have to make your armhole match your sleeve. So I'm to the point where I'm going to start doing my sleeve shaping. And I wrote a whole article about it this week for my newsletter. So you got to get your numbers. So I've written down what amounts I want to take out. So then when I'm making my sleeve cap, I'll make sure that I take out those amounts. Oh, and I pinched out a little here at the front neck, where again it felt like it was maybe just a little loose. And I'm going to put like a stand-up neckline on it. So I'll just, again, take out, looks like I said, take out an inch in the front neck. And I'll just make the collar a little bit smaller. So this is where all of my garment making and flat pattern really comes into play for me when I'm putting a garment together, is I start looking at it instead of as a knitter, I look at it as someone constructing garments. So those are the two things on my list. I think I'm going to end up still feeling like I've got a little bit of extra fabric under my arms, but I knew that, and I decided to go more with how other people wear their clothes rather than me, because it will be used as a teaching tool. So let's see, I've showed you buttons, and I have been working on getting my studio. I don't really care so much whether it's neat, because it's never neat, because I'm always like flying through here and, I find things and become fascinated and then they get laid aside. But I've been trying to get what I have in my studio to match the amount of space I have. So, yeah, it's been a challenge. I'm going to flip the camera again. So I'm down to these two boxes or things that contain knitted things that I'm going to get rid of. I have a whole nother box of things, but I want to talk about them before I get rid of them. So they're deeper in a different process. And then this container are projects that I'm going to turn back into yarn, which is one of the advantages that we have as knitters, is that we can turn things back into yarn. So, once you've cut your fabric, you're pretty much committed. Um, and I do love turning things into yarn. I've got a list. I've got 2 cardigans, this tank top, which is really pretty, but I'm going to do something else with the yarn. This is a project that I did a prototype, and I just think that the yarn would be better in something else. And then I've got another shrug. I do like shrugs. And I just decided that I wanted a different yarn for it. It's not quite right. This is my real person dress form. So I've padded her out to more match what a real person might look like instead of the shapely size 10. And then I made that little cover for her. But, most people aren't shaped like her. So that's my size 10. These are half size dress forms, and they don't come with arms. So you get these arms, same with my big dress form, and which gives them incredibly large shoulders. And this is one of my dryer balls fell apart. I thought, oh, that'll make a perfect head cap for her. So those are my primary tools that I'm always thinking about how things fit and how people should be looking at their bodies and measuring them and that sort of thing. So it's one thing to do it on, it looks kind of like an S&M garb that I've got on her. We don't mostly look like that. We mostly look closer to that. And then this drawer, which has been empty, I found some yarn that I need to put into my yarn bins, and it looks like actually a former assistant of mine labeled all the yarn, so I can actually just throw that into the bin. So there's 4 things in here, 2 cowls and 2 scarves. And I'm going to put together some buttons because I was just exploring what things look like when you use. So cowls are just kind of my go-to for a quick in the round something. And so you get this great color change in yarn that's got a long, I don't even know what they call that. Anyhow, so this is all from the same ball of yarn. And this one's smaller, so you get deeper. And frankly, it's got too much blue in it for me. And then I've got a couple of scarves. It's all using the same pattern. And because this is so much narrower, the sides better, the repeats are really different. And I just adore this, how the yarn changes color. But so they need something to make them more interesting. I think this is just waiting for me to file it. And let's see, here I've got a little container of tiny pussy hats. And these I got interested in some fungi. So I'm just knitting little things. That's like when I'm too tired. This is leftover yarn from a shawl. And so these are all things that I need to attend to, but I don't feel like they're at the top of my list. Do I have anything else fun to show you? Well, since we've seen the dress forms, and then my former colleague Jamie gave me this skeleton because I'm really interested in how the body becomes what it is, because we all start out from this. This is actually a male skeleton, and it's plastic. It's not a real skeleton. Um, but, in medicine, they don't think that women exist, so it's a male. Oh, here's another of my, this is one of my favorite. I just like the yellow and gold, or yellow and blue together. It reminds me of Ukraine. And I found this little bit of silk ribbon, so I recently added that. Um, and that's really about what I've got today. Um, we had, it was really hot here, and we don't have air conditioning. And the fans were kind of not cutting it earlier this week. And to the extent that, like, I invited myself for dinner with friends so that we could enjoy their air conditioning. I did bring food. Um, and then Mitch fell Tuesday night, I think. And we spent 4 hours at the emergency room. And so I'm just exhausted. And at this point, really, really looking forward to my martini tonight. And I'm sure I'll fall asleep on the couch. So, Kat, I'm sure I've seen you on Substack. Um, are you a knitter or a designer? Or both? Because we tend to be both if you're still there. And yeah, I usually don't have trouble finding words to fill things in, and I usually have stories to tell. Oh, you knit, and you're getting into drawing. Cool. Yeah, I always say that I wish I had more time to draw, but I just, my hands are always knitting. And I do some of my best drawings when I'm sitting waiting someplace, and so I'm just doing it to fill time. Um, but I don't have like a regular drawing practice anymore. Um, I do my buttons and knit, and and I've been doing embroidery, which I'm terrible at, but I like to do it. And so tonight, when I'm drinking my martini, I can't really do anything that requires any thinking. So, but I have this cool yarn. It's called Luster from Anzula, and this colorway is called, oh, yeah. So, yeah, probably if I saw better, I could embroider better. This colorway is called Gumball, and I bought a pattern that I saw on Substack. What is my favorite yarn? So um, let's see. So one of my favorite yarns is the base yarn, the pale yarn that I used for this, which is a Cormo. So I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it's a merino or a merino adjacent, but it's got like lots of bounce to it. So that's one of my favorite yarns. And if I have my choice, I will always choose wool. I'm becoming less and less enamored of superwash wool. The yarn in my pullover is called Highland Merino. I think it's from Peru. And I've really enjoyed it. It's soft enough, but it's got like more hair on it than most merino. And I've really enjoyed working with that. So this is, oh, I actually have the label inside this ball. That must mean it's a full. So this is 50% superwash and 50% Tussauds silk. And it's fingering weight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast on and make a half size sample of the cardigan that I bought. But first I have to do a gauge swatch because, of course, I don't want to do it in the same yarn they're using. And I think I might change the stitch too. I'm really doing it because I work everything from the bottom up because I'm a dressmaker and that's how I think. And I know people love to work top down. Um, but I have dyslexia and it's hard for me to switch directions. Um, and I haven't done anything top down since probably 2001 or 2002. It's just not the way I think. Um, so I thought I would do somebody else's pattern to see what I could learn from their construction. I am still not sold on that it's the way that I want to work, because this way, and I'm just pointing at my dress form, I have that moment where everything's not put together and I can still tweak things. And, conceivably, if I were really bothered by the fit of this armhole, I would rip back and redo it. Um, but I kind of went into that project knowing that there was going to be a compromise in how I usually fit things. Um, so with this pattern that I want to do, so anyhow, tonight I can easily knit a swatch while I'm drinking my martini. Yeah, so I'm not convinced. I noticed that the sleeve is sitting way out here, which I don't like. It should be sitting up here where you've got structure to your body, not out here where it's going to slide down, and especially not on in our knits, which are going to stretch. So, and one of the things I'll do on this sweater is when I join the shoulders, I'll do it with a flat 3-needle bind off so that it's really stable. But then I've got to do something around the armhole to make it less stretchy. And so I think what I'll do is I will probably put it in with the 3-needle bind off so that I'll pick up stitches on the armhole, I'll pick up stitches on the sleeve, and join it so that there's a chain around the outside, because I don't like that area to be too flexible. And I've already got a lot of ease in there. So um, this is the sort of thing that I think about at night when I can't sleep. But I'm always looking for a new challenge. So I'm going to try this. I've already read the pattern, and it says that you should choose the size that fits your back shoulder measurement. So this is part of this is like immediately where the problem is. So if you measure your back shoulder, which you measure from the bone of your rotator cuff back there, between there, your sleeve doesn't have any place to sit. It's already like on the edge of the cliff. So I want to bring it in so that it's sitting inside where it can be stable and has a bit of my shoulder holding it up. So then if I look at her pattern sizes, I see that the shoulder width that I want is really for a size like 32 bust, 34 bust, I can't remember. And the body size that I want is like 39 inches. So I'm going to have to do some fudging in there to get from this through the armhole and out to where I want it under my arm. And I love doing stuff. But I'm not sure that I'm going to love doing it top down, because usually I have the body to reflect off of, and take the shape from that. So that was part of what got me thinking about sleeve cap shaping. And I talk in that article about the minimum sleeve cap width, and I say it's from your break point, which is where your body and your arm part company, and you measure across to the same place in the back. So it's like there. And that's like as narrow as your sleeve cap can be. If it's narrower than that, what it's going to do is it's going to pull the body out because it's trying to borrow fabric from the body to fill out. And you can kind of see it in this woven shirt where the sleeve is probably a little tight on me up here. And so it's pulling this over to make sure that my arm, which is the most active part, and you can see that when I move my arm, it really is too small. Um, it's not actually too small. It's that they didn't make the sleeve right. But so that's what happens. If a sleeve doesn't fit, then it's either borrowing from the sleeve cap or from the body, or oftentimes there's too much fabric in the length and it'll collapse into wrinkles up there. So I happen to be in love with making sleeve caps, and I think they're one of the most fun things in pattern making, um, and so easy to get wrong. So be sure and read that article if you're at all interested, because it's not as easy as it sounds when I write it, but it's a really important thing to be thinking about when you're making your sleeves. So I think with that, I'm going to go because I really have nothing more to say. And hopefully the painter is left. I'm so sick of him. Um, and I think we've already decided what we're going to have for dinner tonight. So there's really nothing to do but kill time. So have a wonderful weekend. I hope it's not too hot where you are. And I will be on Substack again next week. So I always put up a recording of this, but sometimes it takes me a day or two. Bye.